So because of our high elevation and our short growing season in Colorado, we like to start a lot of our seeds inside because it's kind of the best way to guarantee you're going to get a crop before the freeze. So things like peppers, tomatoes, eggplant. The suggestion is 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date, which here could be as late as June 20th. Last year we had one June 22nd. So what you really want to do is, because we're going to be planting ours out under cover, we start ours 6 to 8 weeks before we're going to be putting them out. If you can get your plants out the first part of June, near the end of May, it's a pretty good chance that you're going to get a good crop. So you want to count about 6 to 8 weeks back from there, preferably 8 weeks, and that way it gives you some leeway. But tomatoes and peppers, that's when you want to start them, 6 to 8 weeks. Things like squash, squash or melons and stuff, you probably want to do about 4 weeks before, because they grow a lot faster. And pretty much you'll get the hang of it with what grows faster and what not. So everything else like corn and beans you can plant most of the time outside and be fine. Today we're starting some seeds, so we thought we'd share with you how we do it here at Rohwer's Farm. So we start off with our plug flats, kind of fill up the soil inside the plug. If you go shallower, your seeds will germinate a little quicker because you can control the heat and the amount of moisture inside. I know people use some egg cartons and other different kind of things like that. So for these things, what we do, we go along and we poke little holes, make a little divot inside these things. And by the way, you always want to start off with kind of a sterile potting mix and a sterile pot to use, because if you don't, you can cause root rot and damping off a lot. So we're going to start off with some cayennes. So for this, we're putting 2 seeds in each cell. You could do 1, but because your germination isn't always 100%, I always put 2 in just to make sure. And you can either divide them when you go to transplant or just cut 1 down. Okay, so this flat is finished. Now we're going to top it off with a little bit of soil. You can also put a little vermiculite on there too. That would help keep things wet with letting it drain around the top of the seed, so you don't get root rot or damping off. You just want to barely cover these seeds. Pretty much anytime you plant seeds, you don't want to cover them any deeper than twice their width. Get all the excess soil so when we water it in, it won't run off the top. So there's that. Don't forget to label. That's the hardest part. So for ours, we're going to put it out here in this side of the greenhouse. And what you want to do is provide it some bottom heat, because that's the most important part for it. We have a heat mat here that runs along the whole length, but they do sell individual little heat mats like these ones here. I think we got these at IFA. But if you don't have a heat mat, you can also put it on top of your refrigerator, because at the top of your refrigerator, that's where it's going to be pretty warm from the machine running up and down. So you also want to gently water it in. You don't want to hit it too hard with water, or else it'll dig your seeds up. You want to keep this pretty moist. Soak it pretty good the first time, and then maybe come back a few hours later and soak it again. And just keep it moist until you start seeing seeds come up. And then after the seeds come up, you want to probably cut back on the water a little bit, because if you keep it dripping wet with the bottom heat, you're going to end up getting damping off, which is a disease that pretty much attacks around the base of the plant. right here at the soil line. Can't focus on this. And then what it does is the fungus eats into the plant, and then the plant can't support itself anymore. It'll flop over. And one of the biggest things that it shows is that the plant will look like it's curling up and it needs water, but if you keep watering it, you're making the problem worse. So if your plant is starting to cause problems and you think that it's needing water more and more, but it's not reviving, check around the base of the plant, because chances are you might have some damping off, and watering it will make it worse instead of letting it dry out. So for the larger seeds, we do a little bit differently. So we'll be filling up these bigger pots, but typically we'll have a whole flat of them. I'm just doing these ones just to show, since we've already planted these. So typically we just set out, these are zucchini squash, by the way. So we like to do a hill of them, and I'll put about 5 to 6 seeds in there, and then all you do is just push them down about knuckle deep, maybe a little deeper, because the soil is gonna settle. Then when you water, like we did with the other flat, the soil will wash down over the seeds and cover those seeds up. You should be good.